Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Knights of the Alternate Table. Hopefully I sound better. I did just get a new mic, so hopefully it sounds actually good. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm recording this right after the last one, so don't know how that went, so hopefully it went good. But I would like to thank you all for watching. Let's try and get to 175 subscribers, 20 more. Thank you guys so much, and have a good one. When we last left off, the map looked like this, with Mexico being divided into 3 different places, Haiti dominating the Caribbean, the US getting some more colonies, and the world looking relatively the same. Though, intertensions is brewing, and Spain still controls Cuba, though that will be later. Mistake. With the Central Powers victorious in World War I, Germany once again would annex all of Belgium. Italy would be decentralized and broken up. Corsica and Sardinia would be united. France would be hurt. Britain would have to pay war reparations. Bulgaria would form Greater Bulgaria, and Austria-Hungary would annex the other Balkan states with Bulgaria and a bunch of German puppets. Meanwhile, France would start seeing communism as a way to save itself. So, France, you wanna join me? No, you, why would I want to join communism? Well, you do have a lot of money, and you can just take that from the people. Huh, sounds interesting. And we have a big ally called Russia that you can join. Sure, why not? And with that, France would become communist. Italy would also become communist. This would overall hurt Europe, with more and more nations falling to communism. Without any fascism to rise, it would be monarchies versus communism. And democracies would have to join monarchism if they would want to stop this evil spread of communism that was slowly infecting this continent. Meanwhile, in Mexico, the Soviet Socialist Republic of the Lower California, aka Baja California, would break away from mainland Mexico, as without a border with them, what's the point of even staying with that weak government? This would lead to a brief war between the two nations, which would overall be won by Baja California. Meanwhile, the Empire of the Rose would also rise up by Lower Texas. This would be namely monarchist forces, who, after seeing what happened, would not want to go communist with the Russian Revolution and Tsar Nicholas II being executed, but would end up forming their own nation and reinviting the Habsburgs, who this branch would now be considered Hispanic. So the map would look like this, with Baja California not getting all of Lower California, as this would be annexed by the US, and the Empire of the Rose not being able to gain more states. Meanwhile, the democratic part of southern Mexico would see an opportunity to make all 3 Mexicos invade the original Mexico and hopefully take them down. Next, with all of these independent movements, Scotland would also become independent and would think about invading the English. The English, already weak and having to pay war debts, couldn't afford a war and would just surrender to Scotland, giving them their independence. The Scottish Revolution would be seen as the highest point, as Britain, the strongest democracy in Europe, would give in to a bunch of communist radicals. So, the map of Europe would look like this. Austria-Hungary, becoming more decentralized, would split its empire in half, with both having the same military and foreign affairs, but governed by 2 basically different governments. This would lead to a Yugoslavia situation, only more chaotic and messy, if you can believe that, with Austria and Chechnya being the main would be the main leaders in the north. Meanwhile, Italy would be fractured, with Victor Emmanuel holding on to what was Italy, Naples rising up, the Roman people themselves wanting the Papal States to come back and would invite Vatican City to invade, and Milan becoming communist and keeping the forces there. Here we have a map of the different factions. The red is obviously the Comintern, the gray is the Central Powers, and Austria-Hungary would be divided between the Balkan Entente and the Central Powers, with both foreign affairs thinking differently. The Latin Alliance, led by the Papal States, and the Democratic Union, led by Ireland after England's weak defeat. Both Russia, France, and Scotland, wanting revenge, and Milan wanting to reunify Italy, would begin their invasion. Scotland would quickly invade Northern Ireland, while France would move through Belgium, being helped by Belgian rebels, and Germany would hold the line, with Italy becoming the weakest front, as Victor Emmanuel was an incompetent military leader. The Eastern Front would not look good as well. Kaiser Wilhelm, getting tired of this bloody war, and with more of his puppets becoming less and less reliable, he would submit. And after a huge lifetime of war, seeing the men die over and over again, he would give up and surrender to the communists, hoping to gain a shred of his power. This would end up being the Treaty of Berlin, with France taking large parts of Germany, but not being able to annex all of the Netherlands, as the democratic alliances who didn't surrender but merely signed a peace agreement with the Soviets would go. The Netherlands would soon become communist, though, as they would be surrounded. Milan would unify Italy, as well as taking parts of Austria-Hungary, as well as Milan unifying Italy, at least the Austrian-Hungary parts and the main parts. Meanwhile, Austria-Hungary would be split for real this time, with Bohemia becoming independent and the other Austria-Hungary remaining out of the war. The Soviet Union would annex parts of Austria-Hungary, Poland, and the Baltic states. After Kaiser Wilhelm's brilliant pacifist movement of deciding not to attack and to rather just surrender, watching his empire get torn from his hands and destroyed, he would end up getting shot, as the Soviets hated the monarchs, and him being the lead figure, not wanting people to rally around him, he would be killed and executed. Meanwhile, in Mexico, the Mexican Civil War would begin, with Baja California making invasions through the side, southern Mexico moving up through the south, and the Republic of the Rose would start moving in through the left. This would lead to an epic battle, which would make the communist Mexicans lose, which would overall hurt communists. With more and more forces invading, the Mexican government would issue an order, much as Stalin's Order 227, saying that if you turn back, the man behind you shoots you. This would lead to people making their last stands, making sure that there would be no wounded, as they would fight to their last. The Baja California would then start linking up its beachheads. Meanwhile, Baja California would unify all of its beachheads and start pushing in. The Mexican government, even though issuing their order to not retreat, it wouldn't work, and people would start deserting in droves. The Mexican government still would not surrender, hoping to get aid from the Soviets, but the Soviets, not wanting to anger the Americans, would decide not to intervene. The Mexican government would now be almost completely surrounded. This would lead to almost a complete breakdown of the lines, with the Mexican government still crying out for aid from its fellow revolutionaries around the world. They would slowly be crushed more and more and more, till they would have to surrender. The last image we are doing for this series is going to be a map of what happened to Mexico. Mexico would be reorganized under a fair democracy and would join Americans' alliance of the Americas to try and stop what communism they can. Baja California would take part of the coast of Mexico, and the Republic of the Rose would expand its borders. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. So make sure to like and subscribe if you want to. And yeah, I'm trying to bring the quality up in these videos, so I got a new mic, and soon I'll be moving on to a different editor software if I can find a good one, so leave your answers in the comments below. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one. Goodbye. Hey, on your right, that's a video YouTube thinks you should watch. And on your left, well, that's one of my most recent uploads, so I think you should click that one as well. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a good one, and goodbye.